we're talking about. Hi, so my name is Beth Shapiro, and I am with Neora, and this is my friend Autumn Klein, and we're both stylists in hair salons that have worked with Neora products and really have fell in love with the company, and we want to share why. We actually met in the Bahamas at a incentive trip that the company allows you to earn. And so we started talking, and we just had so much in common, and we thought that what we were talking about, we could definitely share, and so you can get an idea of what we do and why we do it. So I'll just start off by sharing my story. So I started about a little over 4 years ago, and at the time when one of my clients came in and introduced me to it, I really wasn't interested because, I owned a salon at the time, and we have a lot of people that come in and try to sell us stuff. So to me, it was just somebody trying to sell me something, and I didn't want to look at it. You think you kind of know everything in the business, and although we really don't, we like to feel that way. So when she first introduced me, I was like, no, not too interested. So she asked me again, and I ended up looking at some pictures, and I did go to her house, and she had a few people over. And I thought, just looking at the pictures, well, maybe these products, if they work like this for people for real, I want to try it and see if it does anything for me. So I was a big Botox user at the time. I was 47, and I thought that's all there was in the world to help my skin, because nothing else that I used really did I fall in love with or did I see any difference with. So I tried the product for 3 nights. I immediately called her and said, my skin is changing. I don't know what's in this, but I know that I have people that I want to share it with. I mean, if they're going to order it, why not? Why shouldn't they get it from me? So that's how I started doing the business. And I didn't really do the business per se. I didn't really want to build a team. I just thought I need to get this to my clients. Everything I have in my salon is for a reason. It's because I believe it. I stand behind it, and I know that it works. And so that's why I decided to get it in. And not only did I, sell to my clients, but I also posted on Facebook. So it started to grow really fast, almost like a snowball. And I found people that wanted to, share in sharing the products. So I did start building a team without even realizing it. And there are a lot of bonuses I've gotten along the way. So that's the beginning of my story. But Autumn, I want you to share your story, because I think it's really amazing too.
Yeah. So I was never, I absolutely was not looking for a side gig. I was at the beach with a friend who was in the company and just kind of, did it kind of same thing, just for a little extra income. She wasn't recruiting. And we were casually sitting on the beach one day, and she kind of started telling me she had just come back from conference, and she was telling me about her experience at the conference. And I said, your company sounds kind of cool. Like, what are the products? I've never really used like a skincare regimen. And, like Beth had said also, I also had a lot of clients that really wanted to, try this or try that. And I was like, no, I'm not really into it. And I also worked alongside a Mary Kay director. And I had given her the benefit of the doubt and tried some products, and she had tried really hard. She kept saying, you would be awesome. I think you should do this, and you could drive a Cadillac. And I was like, oh, I can't sell something or share something with anybody that I didn't feel as though, made me feel good. And, so as we're sitting on the beach, she's sharing this with me. I'm like, this company sounds a lot like, Kevin Murphy is the hair care company that we use at the salon, and it's called Skincare for Your Hair, and it's a plant-based hairline. So I kind of was relating a lot of the things she was telling me about the Neora products to the Kevin Murphy products, and I quote unquote said to her, the company that you shared the products for sounds directly like the hair care company that I'm in love with. And I said, would you mind, like, when we get back to your house, if I tried like your personal products? And I said, I'm really like intrigued. And she was like, no, absolutely. So we get back that night from dinner, and I wash my face, I use everything. And I was just kind of sitting there talking to my husband and I said, my skin feels amazing. And he's like, well, buy it. And I kind of like sat there and thought to myself, he has no idea like what I'm going to spend if I would buy everything that I just used. So I said, well, let's just like, you know, put the brakes on a little bit. Let's see how I feel in the morning, and I'll use it again in the morning and see what I think. So I did. I used it again in the morning, and we walked downstairs, and her husband were down there for breakfast. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've never used a regimen, but I was using really good products from our local hotel, Hershey and Spa. So I wasn't using anything that was like, you know, Neutrogena off the drugstore shelf. It was good product, but nothing that compared to the way my skin had felt in the morning. So we had left that day, and she was like, let me know, you know, if you want to try anything or whatever. And completely not salesy, nothing to that effect. So we get in the car, and my husband actually said to me, I think that this is like an avenue that you should venture down. And I said, what do you mean an avenue that I should venture down? Like buy the products? And he goes, well, I think you should buy the products. He said, but I think you should do the business. And I looked at him like he had a horn growing out of his head. And I was like, oh no, absolutely not. Like completely not interested. And he's like, why not? Like, even if you can just use it for free, why not try? And so I kind of like started thinking about it, and I sent my mom a text and I said, you know, like, here's these products I tried. I really like think that their products and their company are very similar to like what my beliefs are with hair, but I don't really know that I have the time for this. I have 3 kids. I have twins that are 6. I have, at the time, I had a 10-month-old. And you know, a husband that worked 2 jobs. And I thought, there's no way I have any time to fit this in. So my mom said, well, you make time to fit it in. I'm sure it would probably fit in pretty easily. You know, it's just the thought that kind of scares you. So pondered this another couple days, and my husband said to me, so what did you ever decide to do? Did you decide like you want to do this? He said, just try to get it for free. 3 customers. How easy is that? And so I thought about it some more, and I drug my feet for 2 months. And finally, after 2 months, I went to breakfast with my mom one morning, and she said, that's it, we're doing it. And I said, we're doing what? And she goes, you're going to do this. And she said, I know in your heart you want to do this because you have not stopped talking about the way that you liked the products. She said, but you're not going to pull the trigger. So finally, she said, before we leave breakfast this morning, we're doing it. So we did. And I went in with the $1,000 kit. I wasn't starting small. I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I want enough that I can share with people, and I want enough that I can use it. And so just in conversation as a stylist, I had gone back to work and approached my boss with the salon owner, you know, hey, I kind of started a new like side gig. Would it be okay for me to talk about it here? And initially she said, yeah, that's fine. You know, thank you for asking me. So somebody sits down in your chair, and I said, you know, most times the conversation starts with what's new with you. And I said, well, actually, I kind of like started a little side business. And I said, nothing crazy, but here's what I'm doing. And this is the company. And I noticed some people immediately are intrigued, and other people kind of, you know, like, oh, okay, that's great. And on to the next thing. That was it. So within a few days, I started posting online, and clients started reaching out. Hey, I see that, you know, you're posting this stuff. What is it? So I simply shared brief explanation, nothing salesy. And it kind of, for me, that was like my entrance. Then from there, it's been good ever since. I mean, it's been amazing. So, you know, I think like everybody else, we're a little scared of starting something new because everybody approaches us in our position. But that's kind of how I started. So unintentionally.
Yep. And for me, I did like you did, the $1,000 kit, because I thought I owned the salon, and it was a small salon, just about three chairs, and a nail tech and an esthetician. And I just thought I need more product, because you always want the best value, right? And I think it was about $2,000 worth of products, which it is, for $1,000. And you know, I mean, just by talking to my clients, I earned that money back in 1 month, in 4 paychecks. And you just don't, that just doesn't happen in most businesses, right? Especially brick and mortar and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I really think that for me, that was the best deal. And I think for you, you saw it as well, because I could give out samples of things
Yes.
I wanted to do, just get it out to people as soon as possible. So, but I was a skeptic too. I mean, I got the firm in my kit when I first started. It was the day, the night, and the firm. And that firming cream, I did not believe those pictures. And it sat there on my shelf for 6 weeks. And I
Hmm.
said, I really love the night and day cream. Maybe I should try the firm. And I followed the instructions and I did it to a T. You know, I did it twice a day for 10 days. And then 30 days, I got lazy and I just did it once a day. But let me tell you, when I took my after pictures, I didn't know how big of a difference there was going to be until I took that last picture. And I started showing people. I posted on Facebook and I got people messaging me like crazy. So social media was huge for me besides my clientele. It didn't have to just be in the salon. And I think you said you had an issue after a while.
Yeah,
With
so I kind of ran into a little snag after about a month, where the salon owner, we had a salon meeting that we have every month, and she brought it up in front of everyone that worked at the salon and said, I've changed my mind and I've decided that I don't want anybody selling anything out of the salon anymore. And at first, I kind of felt like crushed because, this was like the first big step for me. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, how am I ever going to be able to do this if I can't talk about it here? And not only did she not want it in the salon, but she didn't want any conversation about it either. And, as a stylist, I thought, like, man, people see something on Facebook and they come in and say, hey, I saw your post about, whatever. So I just specifically would say to somebody, hey, give me your number or I'll send you a message on Facebook and I'll handle it outside of here. And that's pretty much what I did from I had started the end of September last year. So I'm in it about 10 months. And I had continued messaging and sending samples and working my business outside of the salon strictly. And by December 1st, I had earned my first incentive trip. And that was when the final decision had been made at the salon. And that first meeting in December, my boss said, yes, it's absolutely, this is what I'm sticking to. No outside sales of any kind in the salon. And I kind of sat there and I felt so accomplished. And I looked at the meeting and I said, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm completely fine with that because I just earned my first incentive trip, not doing it in here at all. So I'm fine. I don't need to do that. Then for me personally, I found that I was really, really falling in love with, getting messages from people saying, hey, it's been 30 days on this product or 60 days on this product. And like, look what you've helped me do. And this is how much more confident I feel. And then it started for me kind of taking over into, maybe this isn't the place for me. Maybe this is a sign that like I need to step out of my comfort a little bit and approach another avenue. And I did. I switched salons after 13 years at the same place. I was her first employee and she had grown her business. And I just kind of felt like this was the direction of change that was kind of pushing me in. And I switched salons to a bigger salon, but also I went and, I had said when I had interviewed with them that this was a side business that I had. And I felt very strongly about it. And I wanted to be able to, I don't need to like stand there and hand out samples, but just to be able to talk about it because it was such a big part of my life. And I had found that it was really substantially contributing to my family's income. And to not have that at that point, I had actually started earning more through Neora than I was behind the chair. And so I knew at that point, like, this is definitely something that I have to incorporate. And if this isn't okay, then it's probably not the right place for me. So my salon owners were absolutely supportive. And now I've kind of found that I don't really keep anything out. Maybe occasionally if somebody's asked for a sample, I'll have it sitting there, or I'll, bring out a book of before and afters if somebody asks for it. So I'm still not marketing it in a way that I want people to feel like it's being pushed on them. But people really follow your opinion. and they follow your social media. And so it's a conversation starter then when they sit down in the chair and say, hey, congratulations, I saw you earned a bonus, or I saw you earned your trip, or, you know, they want authenticity. So I kind of felt like, you know, sometimes maybe shifting was just the direction of, this was kind of the push that I needed at the time in my life.
And I think as stylists too, we have that feeling when we do a haircut or a color, and the person is happy and really loves the way that they look. That's a really good feeling to us. That's the feeling we want to give people. So with these products that really do work, and they can see visible changes, you know, in 30 to 60 to 90 days, even if it takes 90 days, whatever, like that's a really good feeling for us to be able to help somebody. And there's all different things to help with, because there's something for everybody in our product lineup, you know?
Yes.
So I do think social media, like you said, is really important, because we have a finite number of clients, right? I mean, we do get referrals from people and things like that are new, and we can offer the products and opportunity to, but social media has been probably one of my biggest ways to get customers for the product. And, you know, even this morning I was just talking about, I had somebody who's been, who's known about what I do, but just for the first time this morning after 4 years reached out and asked me to order a product. So, you know, you can just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know when I started that the company did 100 million in the first year with just one product in the US. If you think about that and think about the other companies that, like Amazon, and I don't know the exact figure, but I know it was like 200,000 maybe. So that's a big, big difference. That just doesn't happen in companies. And so the more I learned over time, the more I kind of fell in love with, you know, everybody loves this product, or else it wouldn't be this big. Like we wouldn't be a $2 billion company right now. So it just gives me more belief, you know, that I can stand behind this company. And the trips, we need to talk about the trip, because that was, I mean, it was my 4th trip. I know it was your first trip. So yeah. I love through other people's eyes, but what was your favorite thing? Because I just haven't been able to have that opportunity to earn something like that before. And I would never take a trip like that, an all-inclusive, everything paid for trip, because I just wouldn't in the past pay for it for my husband and I, and never really had a honeymoon. So I make it a point to qualify every year for that trip. But what did you think? What were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, my first thought within being there of 24 hours was I had never felt like, you know, you kind of like pour your heart and soul into something you're passionate about. And I never really felt appreciated like I did in the first 24 hours of being there. I literally sat at, you know, the leadership meeting that first morning, and I kind of felt like I had goosebumps. I had tears in my eyes, and I just literally had never felt like somebody cared for me the way they care about us, and the way they appreciate what we do for them, and the way they give back to us. And being with so many other like-minded people, and, you know, hearing everybody's stories about a testimonial for a product that's changed somebody's life. Like, there is nothing more gratifying than, you know, the person that tells you that there's a testimonial that's changed somebody's life in such an impactful way. And so that was my biggest takeaway. And I took my husband. My husband, like I said in the beginning, was the biggest pusher for, I think you should do this. But I will also say he is my biggest supporter. He does work the business with me. And I think for him to actually, he was not at conference. I had been to my first conference this year. And, you know, of course, coming back and explaining everything to somebody, yeah, it sounds great. But when you actually sit there for yourself and you hear them say, like, we're so proud of you, and you did this so well, and, you know, you make such a difference in people's lives. Hearing that from somebody else, and for him to hear it from somebody else, really, I think, like, made such a difference. Just, it was amazing. So I think the leaders of this company, I mean, I have friends that do other businesses, and when I tell them about, you know, the takeaways that I have from experiences like that versus theirs, they're like, really? They told you that they're proud of you? And that's all I need to hear. I just need somebody to tell me that what I'm doing is, positive. And I feel like my enthusiasm sitting there was just like, I was beaming. So my first 24 hours were probably the biggest like eye opener for me.
Now, had you ever been to the Bahamas?
So I had never been to the Bahamas. My husband and I actually got married in Jamaica. So this was our first no kids trip in 9 years of being married. And since we had children. So I think as much as it was, a business trip, there really wasn't a whole lot of business about it. It's a fun trip, and you just get to go with all these friends that you've connected with over social media, and meeting them for the first time. Like, I felt like a celebrity. So many people were like, "Oh my gosh, Autumn, it's so nice to finally meet you." And my husband said the same thing. He said, "I had no idea that you've connected with so many people online." He said, "You're like a little rock star. You just, you walk around but it's not like I'm the only one in that position. You're meeting other people that you're making them feel the same way." Um, and everybody just encouraging each other and supporting each other. I love that this is not a competitive company at all. Nobody's trying to beat anybody else, but if I can help somebody else in the company, like, use me as a resource. So, I think that's one thing that sets our company apart from a lot of others is there's no quota to be better than the person that's next to you. It's how can you help them?
And I think, there are so many benefits. Let's talk about what it's done for you. I know for me, it's changed. I thought the be all and end all was to own a salon. And I had just opened my salon the month before Neora found me. But that was my okay, what do you do next? Okay, well, I own my own salon, and I realized after, earning an income consistently even during the first year, that maybe I want different things, because you don't have these choices before, right? So if you've got an income coming in from a side gig like this, then, and it's surpassing what you're making, you can make different choices in your life. So for me, was able to sell my salon after 3 years, and I downsized to a studio where I go in at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's no more 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning for me. There's no Saturdays. I work sometimes Monday, I work Tuesday and Wednesday. And then the rest of the week is I help, of course, my team with Neora, but I don't work 24/7. I can spend time with my children. I can spend time with my husband. I can clean the house. I can do whatever I want on those other days, right? So I was also able to space my clients out, because we've always worked as back to back to back to back. And there's been times for me in my 29-year career that I've not drank water all day long, honestly. And people look at me like, no, that's not true. No, that is true. And I have to decide whether to use the bathroom between certain clients or, I'm going to be in trouble, because you just don't have that time. You do, in between people. I don't do that anymore. I book 2 hours for a color and cut with a half an hour space between, and I might do 4 clients a day that way. It's my option and my choice, and I enjoy hair more because of it. So
Yes.
What are you found that at all in your?
Well, not to be like a carbon copy, but so when I was at the previous salon, I booked overlapping colors all the time. I wanted no downtime. I wanted to cram them in. And, I remember sitting there when an educator would come in and say like, okay, well, if a client comes in and you want to do this, or, you want to change it up. And I'd sit there thinking, there's no time to change it up. If you're in for a root color, you're getting a root color. And you want a couple foils? Well, it's going to have to be next time. Like, I can't do that now. And so that was something for me. I was a stylist at the old salon, but I also was a nail tech. And I had kind of made some big decisions when I changed that I eliminated nails from my business altogether, because I wanted to kind of have more time in my schedule to not feel so rushed, and to make a client feel like their time is important also, because I don't think they appreciated feeling like it was a regimented schedule. However, after I had changed, I started spreading out my schedule as well and allowing more time for each client and more time in between clients. And I also only work Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I don't work Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays ever. In fact, I worked my first Saturday in probably 6 years a couple weeks ago. And the entire time I'm like, what am I doing? Why did I think this was a great idea? Because I feel like you just appreciate that time so much. When you have time to go to the grocery store or spend time with your kids, take them to sporting events, and just not feel like, what you're doing is impeding in your family's time. So there is a child.
Real life, right?
So yeah, I also kind of approached my business the same way, where I just started making some, I would say, subtle changes that have led up to a big difference. And financially, I am now using my salon income as my side income, and my Neora income is our family's income. But I think too, to feel like, a lot of us, our spouses might be the breadwinner, or, is there, something going on where maybe your circumstances are different and your spouse is the big contributor to taking you on vacation. I think to be able to take my husband on a trip on my dime and let him be my guest, for me felt very accomplished. And actually, I did also earn my level 2, which meant my airfare was included. So when we went on our Bahamas trip, the only thing that we paid for, other than Starbucks and the airport, was to check a bag. So, I think all those things kind of come into play. And I never aspired to be a salon owner. My parents owned businesses. And the one thing they always said to me was, be careful. You might not want to own your own business. So for me, I just enjoy being a stylist and being able to come and go as I please. And I'm thankful for the income now to be able to do that and not feel like I need a grinding schedule.
Right. I mean, that's such a good feeling to have those options, to change your schedule the way you want. I know my husband's loving it.
Yeah.
Because I was able to retire him a year and a half ago from the fire department, because he was a firefighter every day in 24-hour shifts, and it was bad on his back and his neck. So he was working 2 jobs, and he got to leave the one that he really wanted to leave, and do what he wants to do. So, I mean, he's actually working today, and he'll take tomorrow off, just doing like handyman stuff, right? So that's his choice, and I like that, to be able to have that option. Let's talk about so the car, because I know a lot of people, like when I first was introduced to the company and shown the Lexus, I thought, there's no way. Other people get that, I wouldn't get that. And yeah, in 8 months, just doing it very part-time, along with having a very busy schedule and 4 kids between my husband and I was able to earn that Lexus, that $500 car payment. And since then it's grown to $750. But that made a huge difference. I hadn't driven a new car in a long time. And here it was, I was getting it free. I'm getting my car free. So how did that make you feel when you did that?
Well, so I am actually knocking on the doorstep of my car. I'm not there yet. And I have figured it out financially, the difference in that car payment of what it will do for us. And that's kind of my drive right now, because that's just that much more income that we will have when I don't have a car payment. So my husband is a huge new car person. I'm pretty sure it was in our wedding vows when we got married that I will always have a car that's under warranty, because he's a new car person. And so one day he said, wouldn't it be awesome if we, got this Lexus bonus? And this was probably within my first couple of days. And I said, Eric, people don't just get the Lexus bonus that are just working like for a side income. It's only the people that are really high up that get a Lexus. And after about 2 months of really like noticing changes, they said, like once this new comp plan goes into effect, like you're going to be really close to earning your car bonus in your first year. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And here I am at 9, almost 10 months. And yeah, I'm really close to my car bonus and very effortlessly. So I think, and it's not a rank that anybody's requiring you to hit. I think the fact that you know what's on the other side, and it's just a matter of, hey, maybe I'll throw a post out there today and get a customer too, and it pushes me to my Lexus. Like that's so easy. So, yeah, I'm aspiring, but I'm close, super close.
Yeah. And it's it is attainable, more than anybody knows. And I just want to tell people, why not try it? Like there's nothing to lose. I mean, most people start it because they want to get their product free. If you're liking the product, why not try to get it free, right? And then it seems to kind of turn into more if you want it to be more. There is money to be made just having customers, so you don't have to build a team in this, which is what I like. And you can make a good chunk of side income that way monthly. But if you choose to ask a few friends if they want to do it with you, maybe shoot for the trip or the car, I mean, that can certainly be done. And eventually you could get life-changing income. I mean, it's just a matter of...
Well, and that's the one thing I feel like is important to mention, because I think people think like, oh, I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a recruiter. I didn't have one person on my team for the first 4 months. So everything that I was doing was purely on my own. And when I did get my first person, it was a friend of mine that just was repeatedly buying products to support me. And I just kind of threw it out there. And I said, like you could do this with me and get your products for free. And she's like, really? Easily? And I said, yeah. So that was kind of how I got my first brand partner. It wasn't anybody that was looking or me looking. And I rode with 2 brand partners then for another 2 months. And then the next person approached me, and kind of the same thing. A lot of people just start for a little side income and, free product. But I think the fact that you can make it adaptable to whatever your desires are is what makes it attractive.
And, the most important thing to me that I realized was a couple of years ago, I tore part of my rotator cuff. And I was like devastated. And my first thought that came to my head was, what if I can't do hair? What will I do? And then it's a wave of like relief came over me thinking, well, I have Neora. The money is coming in whether I can work or not. And that's what residual income is. And I don't think people understand that totally, especially in our business, because we don't have 401ks. We normally don't have insurance. We don't have vacation paid. This is a vehicle to get all of that you're missing and that we really need, Well,
and I feel like a lot of stylists are, I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I don't calculate my week out, at the beginning of the week. I don't try to guesstimate what my tips are going to be. I just kind of look at it as, hey, it's income that I'm making and it's tips that I'm making. But I hear a lot of stylists in all different types of salons, not just private salons, but any salon that say, oh, I could use some extra money. Or like, I certainly hope I get this amount this week for tips because I have to pay for daycare and I have to pay for this and that. And I think not having that stress of putting that on yourself to work like a workhorse and just be able to enjoy your job again is really important.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different feeling. It's that, I can't tell you how relieved I am to have that money coming in. I can't even.
Absolutely.
Me, it's turned into, that's my house payment, every bill I have really that it pays, and my income from doing hair is additional. And so it gives you those choices. Just the most important. If you come that way.
Right. Or, say, somebody does just want a couple customers. They want to earn their product for free and make $100 or $200 a month. That can be the difference of being able to take your family out to eat or, you know, hey, your kids need new shoes and you have 3 kids. Like shoes aren't, are expensive. They're not inexpensive. So just like little things like that can really like, you know, crack into your budget that just don't need to stress you out anymore. And just to be able to live comfortably, I think is important. If you want to go big, go big. I'm too, I've discovered I definitely have FOMO. So if there's a promotion, I mean, I want it. And if there's a trip or a car or, you know, an extra couple $100, like I want it. I don't want, you know, to miss out on something that I know I could have at least tried for. And if I miss it and I tried, at least I know I tried. But I think that's kind of like the beauty with this company too, is there's so many ways to help you. If you want it, go for it. If you don't. So
It's like, why not?
right, you have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
And meanwhile, I mean, you look great. You know, like I can't say how many times people have sat down and they're like, all right, you got me. Your skin today looks amazing. And I'm like, yeah, I have no makeup on. No, what? So, you know, I think, you know, clients notice your skin changing also. And, you know, they don't want their hairstylist to be the only one looking good. They're all about like, help me out. So yeah, I think there's so many benefits that people kind of look at it as another company, or, oh, that I'm not doing this direct sales. And it's not like that. So hopefully, you know, we can reach out to a couple people and give them a different perspective that might be able to help.
Yeah, I think it's a very beneficial thing for a stylist, especially. You know, definitely worth talking to someone about it. So, but we probably got to go. I think my recording's going to end, but yeah. So check into Neora. It's an amazing company and amazing products. And thanks for tuning.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.